Hello everyone, Michael Mechanical here. I don't make very many videos, and there's plenty of reasons for that. One of them is, well, believe it or not, the reason I'm on my computer is because I've got my schoolwork I've got to finish. But another is because I work, and I've got to keep doing work on my vehicle to keep it maintained. And the way I have to maintain my vehicle is in such a way that I don't actually have time to include or incorporate recording into it because my job requires that I have the vehicle running. My vehicle isn't a project car, it's an actual livelihood. So working on it is like you work on the car, and then if you make a video at the same time, it consumes more time. You try to push out a video, it consumes even more time. I know I could film. The problem is I don't really like getting greasy, grubby fingers all over cameras, because if I do that, if any grease gets on the lens or something, it's gonna ruin the quality of the videos and damage the camera. So it would be really nice to not have to touch the camera with greasy, grubby hands, because that happens a lot. I can handle my phone. I always clean it with some Dettol because it's like an alcohol and it gets off all the grease and stuff. So that's okay. At the moment, I'm wrapping up with all my schoolwork. It's actually past the date of the course closing, so there's no more teachers to assist with any work unless I email them for some assistance. But with the car, the current project I've got on the car that I'm working on is actually to give me a second line of work while I'm on the road. And I've been working towards it because I can do documentation on the road, I can do programming on the road, but I need the machine to do it. So I guess I could do a little bit of a walkthrough on what I've got. Other than that, I also got my first Spyro shirt because I like dragons, and we do have the original game somewhere. Also, my car is way more run down since last year because everything's just old. There is my car, and it's probably its prime. You can see the vinyl wrap here is fading, the sides are good. You can see the rear doors were painted, but inside the tray of the doors is crap. It looks beautiful in this picture. And now, it just looks like any other old car. A piece of rubbish. But it's you got to do everything in one shot. You can't just do a bit here and a bit there. So I'm actually getting ready to do a service on my car. I've got about 1,000 kilometers left before I have to do it. I've got a fan in the car. I got my stuff. Actually, I'm just going to take this outside because I don't really want to be bothering anyone in here. So what I'm going to be doing by taking stuff outside is I'm going to just show you what I've been working on. And now I've got the problem with someone else out here, which I don't want to be filming. You're not on camera, so feel free to walk. I just want to show off the car, what I'm doing. Okay. So, I don't actually have light on the camera. I don't really have much light. So what I'm working on is I've got a laptop. I don't know if... No, I didn't show you. Well, and anyway, I've got this little inverter here. And it's a CAN inverter, 150 watts. And the reason I've got this inverter is because the battery in the laptop is very weak, very gutless, and I want to see the screen. But I can't just put this in the car. If anyone is considering buying one of these and putting it straight in their car, don't. You do not want to burn out your wiring, even on a new car. The thing is, this requires you to install a new cigarette lighter or upgrade the wiring. Because getting a tickle on the nose all the time, it's getting really ridiculous. I have a tissue box in the middle, and this car is annoying to drive around in. It's such a small car. But I was trying to say it was run down before. It is run down. But I've got this inverter, and the problem is all the wires are just so thin, you just can't. It's gonna blow fuses galore, potentially even damage wiring. This car already has some pretty damaged wiring from previous owners, so I can't exactly change that. But if I show you how heavy these wires are, the standard wiring would be about 7.5 amps, and that's good wire that I've got. Now here's how heavy duty these wires are. They're very thick. Now, wiring very similar to the car's wiring is this stuff right here. I don't know how clearly you can see it, but you can see it's really thin. That's about roughly what your wiring looks like that runs to your cigarette lighter. And then you have this thing, this giant wire that wants to pull a lot of power to keep it powered. This thing, you need about 20 amps to power this thing safely. If you go straight for 15 amps, the guy I was talking to, he said these things, you lose 10% of your power through conversion. So this thing's efficiency is above, it's less than 90%. I believe that's what it means. So that's how this thing is. It's less than 90% efficient. It's amps per hour. It's AH rate sort of thing is, come on. Output voltage, input full load current. It needs 15 amps to power this. There is no 15 amp wiring inside the dash. It's 7.5 amps. And I'm talking about the good wiring. The normal wiring that's in this thing is probably 5 amps. Maybe not even 5. It's old day stuff. It doesn't have the tolerances to deliver the power that this thing needs without breaking something. And then if you burn out your wiring, you're up for 800 plus in repairing your loom, like getting it repaired, rebuilt, replaced. So that's the problem. That is why I got to do this as properly as I can. I can't really half-ass it. Everyone around me likes to half-ass things. I try to do the best I can, but I didn't half-ass the fan, even though it looks half-assed. I bought this fan. I wasn't sure if it was going to work, and it doesn't really work. It gives me the extra cooling power, but it's a gutless fan. It does very little, but it does something. It pulls in some cool air and helps push it where it needs to be. Where it would be nice to have an AC, but ACs cost a lot of money. So what I'm thinking of doing is getting terry towel, putting over here, having like a hose, maybe putting some shit up here, and have a little coolant bottle or something up here. Run a hose behind the mirror down here into the fan, into this sock. And then the sock soaks up the water, and then this blows air through it. You lose that push of air, but you might upgrade its effectiveness in cooling down the vehicle, because it'll be pushing air through and cooling down the air. So it doesn't matter whether it doesn't work 100%. It works in some ways that the air will move a little bit, that it'll get to these fans, and these fans will push the cool air on me or something. I'm not 100% sure how it works, but that's the concept of how it might work. I've got a lot of things I've been doing other than that. For example, I've been actually mowing lawns. I don't actually have much money, and the bins are gone again. Normally we have bins. There's a bin. I've been mowing lawn. I've been cleaning up the yard. I've been using a wood chipper. It's summer, so I almost had a fire out here, so I stopped. All that needs to be mulched. My dad's been chucking in those green bins. Here's some mulch, but I almost had a fire, so couldn't continue on. And spiders should be coming out soon. That's where they place their webs all the time. But we're going to be pulling this thing out. It's a woodworm. This is what I've been doing. I've been cleaning up my own parents' yard, and even though I haven't done here, I forgot. I've done some. Those weeds are back. Now, I don't know if it looks right, but I've actually done some chipping around here. This actually was pretty bad. And you can see I've chipped away all this, dead stuff. This stuff's actually a fire hazard now. It needs to really be cleaned up. For all this green buffalo grass, I actually chipped it so low that it was actually pretty much dirt. And I did that a couple of weeks ago, so now I need to do it again. Or better still, pull it all out if the parents don't want it. It's probably the neighbour's grass. There's all these weeds. You knock them down. Like, I cut all this, pretty much. Just aiming at the weeds and chopping them. You got to literally pull them out to knock them off. I've gone over a section here with the mower. It should still seem like I've gone over it with the mower. Maybe. Okay, so it doesn't really look like it. But I went over the mower here, and there was all parsley. It just looked like parsley. Now there's weeds there in its place. So here was, I just went over it once or twice the mower here, up there, and then all this parsley is what this looked like. It looks like just parsley. I've gone back here, but I haven't cleaned it up. I haven't pulled the branches out yet that I could get at. Now, what I was doing, because it was a steel blade, and I could cut one of those tanks, or I could cut in the shed. So I stopped and I said, "Look, we have to do this by hand. We can't use machines that are this huge." And I've been just trying to do what I can do. Been keeping the front maintained as best as I can, but this is mostly a lot of work. My mum actually cleaned up this section over here, so there's not many weeds, and they still haven't really come back. Like, they're coming back, but Mum cleaned up all this a couple of weeks ago when I did all the work with the trees and stuff. Now I want to find a torch quickly. We've actually another thing to update. Oh yeah, guys, if you want solar panels, I know a company that does really good deals, because our power bills have been just, through the freaking roof. And yeah, I shouldn't be doing this. Don't do this at home, guys. But I'm doing this to show you off the marvel of 6 kilowatts of solar panels on one side of the roof. There's another 6 on the other side. And we have an inverter in the shed. It's actually a little bit stuffed at the moment. We have to get them out to check it. They're going to do that because they want us to keep in contact with them if we have any problems, to let them know. And they literally make us aware that they want to help us. So they will come out and they'll fix it. So the first thing I've got to do is, actually a lot of things I've got to do. Can I change the camera? So I just got so much work on my hands. I've got my schoolwork, I've got the guard, I've got the car. I'm trying to not throw my keys on the ground. I'm trying to do my best to do all my work. To get an idea of all my machining stuff, I'll recommend Rover, because they have some really cool tech that's really cool. That's a diesel can. Petrol can, I've got another petrol can outside. I've got this premium Blue Oils Plus, they used to be called. I have this bush cutter, which is what I used to cut that fig tree behind the shed, which is what I didn't want to use near the tanks because I could cut into them. And then you just swap it out with your pruning saw to this piece. You have an extension for the pruning saw. Then you have, the whippersnipper, is what you use to do some work. Now we're looking for a torch. I still remember that. I almost forgot because I'm really, really tired. I'm feeling it. I've been trying to figure out if I could get a loan with the bank or something, but they just won't help me with that because I have to wait another year before they will even consider helping me by giving me a loan. You have to have 2 years of financials in order to get a loan. Now, this light will give us an idea of what's going on under the hood. So, not under the hood. So we've got a fan, that fan right there, and she's plugged into the cigarette lighter. Now, we have another 2 cigarette lighters. If I can figure out how I can put this here. I have another 2 cigarette lighters right here. And we can see this one's plugged in. Can't really see this in the way though. But we can see we have a cigarette lighter plugged in here. And that's for a camera that will go to the back of the car, which was already in there, but I took it out. We have cable ties that hold it in place. And I did that on purpose because I didn't want to F around. Like, that's the cable tie, if you can see it. And then there's another one on this side. I haven't put them in because I might not be able to do it in properly. I'm going to cable tie that piece in there, and that's all I'm going to do with that. Because screwing it in there means making brackets. Making brackets takes up time. Time is money. It's not worth it for me with this car at this point in time because there's a lot of work to do in the interior as well. And there's no cover on here because every time I put this cover on now, it's really freaking pissing me off. I put it on, I put it in, and it's been falling off. Well, that's the first. It's never Normally I hit a bump and it just falls off. It's just, yeah, there we go. That was really loose then when it came off. I wasn't forcing it off, it just dropped. And I'm getting sick of it because every time I hit a bump, it just dropped out. And every time I was putting in last time, it was just falling out. Every time I put it back in, it just fell out. So I've got all this wiring, red wiring, black wiring. This goes here. And I've got this black one. I have no idea where the hell she is. Here she is. So I've got this black wire up here. If I can show you, that is. There she is hanging. I've got that one, and then it goes through the firewall here, under the hood, and you can guess the rest. It runs against the firewall on that side, because I decided I didn't really want to risk it cutting in anything, so I thought I'm going to do this properly. I got new battery terminals to replace mine, since I'm doing this stuff properly as possible. Better do it right now than, you know, regret it later, because we're going to be pulling a lot of current. I got the original wire, and I got a fuse, which is 20 amp fuse, and the reason it's 20 amp is because that's what the fuse hole is going to take. That's what this wiring can take, plus interest. It can take 25 amps, this wiring. So I'm going to have to do that tomorrow morning, maybe tonight if I have time, which I doubt it, because I've got to get my documents into the teacher. The teacher will then reassess me. That all cost me $30, I believe. Yeah, $30 tinted. Now, what I was planning on doing with this thing here is not putting it down there, but I was planning on putting this actually up maybe here or something, putting it somewhere. Or maybe I could put it there, but the thing is I need airflow for it, so I've got to put it somewhere strategic. I could put it here, but if I can't put it there nicely, then I've got a problem. So I've got to put it there as best as I can, put it somewhere strategic that it's going to work and not going to get damaged. There's a lot of vibration going through the body as well, so that might not be helpful. So I've got the battery terminals. I actually want to show people where things are at the moment with this. It's a long way from being ready, but you can see it's kind of run down. The paint's crapping up on this. It's always getting rubbed because everyone has to lean over it to do work. Okay, I'm going to put the camera down. Put that down. No, I can't put the camera there. Apologies, I've got to move the camera somewhere else. And yeah. So next up, let's see where the wiring runs from. So I'm going to get two black wires. One's going to be earthed and one's going to go straight to the negative terminal. So there's the red wire. She runs against the firewall through that loop, that loop, that loop, that loop, that loop. And I've got an extra meter of it just in case I want some extra. And I want to do this as properly as I can. She goes through there and then she cuts straight over here and goes straight to the battery. That's the positive one, and this is negative. I'm putting a wire here. Now, I don't know if I can show you without the light how crappy these terminals are. But here's the negative post. Look at the difference in the negative post. Look how shitty this one looks. Look how good that one looks. Now, let's have a look at the positive one. Look at this dodgy washer and wire. Washer and bolt. It's dodgy as I'm putting a new one on to make up for that problem. And also, this is going to be a little bit lighter, I think, because they both look a little bit odd. They look a bit too small for this. They might be too small for this. They might not be. 6 and 12 volt positives. Made in China. I'd like something maybe a little bit bigger, but these should fit. And I should be able to put the wires straight in these. And if they don't work, then I'm going to be in trouble. I should get something bigger. Or it might be close. I have no idea because I didn't check the widths between the posts and how much wire you could fit in between. So that's not good. So I'm going to put these out here. This is from a Tata because I replaced the AC and put a working AC in there. It's not gassed. The car's not giving me problems, which is a good thing. It gave me a problem. If the spring's still there, I hope. Yeah, there's a spring right here where I'm touching now. That spring is stopping a problem with the car where it's accelerating because the accelerator cable is stuffed on it, and I need a new one. The problem is no one can bring get me a new one like today or tomorrow, and I've got to order one. It's going to take a long time to get here. I think there's something wrong there, and I don't know. I got to replace that cable or get it repaired, and it's fucked here because I tried to pull it out. Shouldn't be swearing in my videos, but that's how things are. So it's not really everything I've done with the car, but it gives you a rundown of what's been done, what's been done. I'm putting in the power cell, the inverter, because I want to use the laptop on the road because I can't afford to get a tablet. I would have put a tablet in there, but yeah. And I didn't want to give myself too much work because, like I was trying to say, everything's run down about it. Look at the doors. They're just getting scraped off. There's no paint on them. These racks are looking junk after being used excessively. This one got bent. Some jerks at one workplace, they hit the rack because they didn't know how to drive a fork very well. They got me banned from the site after damaging my rack, as in twisting it, because they ran straight into it with a forklift, for goodness sake. And then they tried to blame the weight of the load to try and get out of, being blamed. There's some real jerks in the world. And I've got to fix up these things when I get a break. I'm going to just tape them here, tape them there, until I feel like putting a screw or two in them or something. And I've got my neighbour's car to work on. I've got new rims on the car. That's right, brand new rims. As in, they've never actually seen the daylight of road. And I'm the first user of them, but I'm not the first owner of them. And then I got good reservoir. Because I always had that problem with the head gasket going. I got a squeaky belt every morning now until the belt oils ran off the belt because this power steering pump's stuffed. We currently, to give you an idea of how hard things are, I got about $8,000 in work, maybe even more than that I need to do, and that's including labor costs. Now, I have about $200, maybe up to $500. No, I'd say it's actually less than that. I've spent money today. I would have had $500 by this morning on a shirt. I spent $27, $28 on groceries, so it's about 50 something dollars there, 53. Then, no, it's a positive number, that's right. It's 53. Then I spent about 30 on that stuff, so 53 up to 83. And paperwork, I didn't spend anything on that. Then office stuff, $10, roughly 12 maybe. And $95 and stuff. So I'm down to about $400 overall. 140 of that is my bills, and the rest is for fuel and tax, and I still haven't saved up all my tax money that I'm meant to pay back. So technically speaking, I owe the government already, although I don't have to pay them yet. That's how tricky things are. So spending money on this, I'm actually burning someone else's money, which is the government's. But in the end, whatever I spend on this comes back as a tax return in some ways. That's that much less tax I have to pay them because I have to do it for my job. So it's kind of a win and loss situation. It's not really a win or a loss. It's an in between sort of thing. But I have to fix the car up if I want to keep it going. Brakes are a bit shit at the moment, and I'm going to have to look into that, and that's why that's more money to spend. I got to rebuild the front calipers because there might be something wrong there, but I'll check them first. I got about $8,000 in work. I got an $8,000 bill just to rebuild the front, the rear, suspension. The engine needs half of that. The transmission. I don't know if that's ever going to go. It does go one built for or less. Added up, it's the price of a new car, essentially, that I have to spend on it. And it's not worth cars. Leniency of an old car that can't really complain, I guess. You can do a lot more on this card than others. And you got a lot of more tolerance. You have a lot more complicated crap to deal with. Oh yeah, well, talking about the solar system, it's actually really good. About 80 kilowatts, I think, on average per day generates 70 today, and it did pretty okay. So it's generated this much in about 1 to 2 months. I think it's been 1 month since we've had it first installed. So 4th of November, I think we had it installed. So it's just over a month. It's already generated about 4,000 kilowatts. Our other system has only generated about 40,000 in its 10-year lifespan, and it's half the system this is. This thing, within a month of operating, is almost 1/10 of the way there. And by the end of next year, this system is going to beat that system's pants, because this thing is pumping out just so much power. The only problem we've got with it, even though this is super impressive and it works really, really well, look at this output voltage, I think. Open voltage is 533. The only problem we've got with this system, though, is there's a problem. Either water's getting into one of these things but on the roof, because there's 3 of them here and then there's 3 of them up there, or there's something else going on. The problem we got is it's something's wrong with this system, that when there's rain, when there's lots of water, it's getting into something electronic, and all the power is getting knocked out. And every 3 minutes we put on the neutral switch again and switch all the power on and off. But after 3 minutes, all the power just dies again. So every time we turn the computer, it turns itself back off because the power went out. And we're like annoyed that the power keeps going out. There's just so many things, though. I got it, like, here. I haven't shown you guys yet, but this is what I'm going to be borrowing for a little while. This beast here. This is another 4D, but it's an auto one for a Pajero. We're going to be putting this in my car. He's already scratched up the paint. And this, I'm going to be borrowing this. But I'm going to drive it for 1,000 kilometers nicely without courier work. After 1,000 kilometers, it's $100 of fuel roughly it will use. Maybe more, maybe less. I think maybe more. After 1,000 kilometers, it's going to go full-time courier work. It's going to need an oil change, obviously, twice over. We'll put an old oil filter on here first, get all the shit out of the system with an oil change. After that, we then change the oil out, change everything we got to change, and yeah. Because most of the people I know, when they do an oil change on one of these, they don't use a new filter. New filters are good, but what's the point in using a new filter? You're going to have to spend $60 twice. That's $120. You see how much money I've got right now, right? About 400. It's going to go like that because I've not been full-time and I don't have Centrelink anymore. I've got all sorts of problems. This thing has to run. It has to work. I'm going to get the suspension at the front when I've got about $5,000 saved up already. When I have $5,000, I'm going to get this rebuilt through a company. I'm going to do work on my own in the time that I have to wait. Or, if I can, I'll ask them if I can help them work on this, because I've got some other things I might have to do. Or if I can do it because I want to speed up the process of getting this thing back on the road, because I'm a courier and I need the car. I'll see what I can organise with them. I'm going to use their payment method of it's Zip Pay, and I'll pay them through Zip Pay, because that way I don't pay any interest, because I can cover it. If I've got $5,000 saved up, that means I'll spend $5,000 on rebuilding the suspension at the front and doing everything I have to do there. But I only pay about $1,250 per fortnight, meaning even if I have $5,000, I'll pay on the day $1,250, and then after I pay that, another fortnight later, I pay another $1,250, pay another $1,250, and pay another $2,050. The reason I do it that way is if anything hits me or anything wants to bring down my budget really quickly, I've got some leniency behind me to earn the money back and keep it up. So if instead of suddenly just going straight down the bank, I use it and it goes down and then it goes up, then down, up, down, up, down, up. And it's just a down-up game where you don't have to spend all the money at once. And it's worked for me. I haven't had to pay interest, and I'm going to do things like that. So now I'm going to pack up here for now. I got to do some schoolwork. Tomorrow morning, I've got some other things I've got to do. I'm going to throw everything in the car because I just got my work. I've got my schoolwork I've got to do. I just realised. Do I have a flashlight? No, I don't have a flashlight. I've just lost the fuse because I didn't open up the fuse packet. That F's me over a little bit. Hopefully this light's powerful enough to show me something because I can't turn on the camera light because I'm talking to you guys. Here we go. Fuse is on the ground. Found it. So that's good. Maybe I should just end the video. I'm not sure if you guys mind. I'm really tired and I'm still doing stuff and I should be resting, doing what I got to do, and maybe stop doing this video, but I don't do enough videos that I can't exactly express how much I got to do. The sky's nice and red over there. But actually not. Before we go, I was talking about the tools. I still got the boxes. Here's what I bought. This is exactly the tool that I bought. Straight line trimmer. And you just swap attachments over. Here's another attachment that I've gotten, which was the snipper. Another attachment. And this is another one. This is the pruning saw. That's the brush cutter. You can even put a, what's it called on there? A vacuum, a blower. You can put a blower on it. You can put a really weird broom sweeping thing. I think you'd use that industrially to clean up things, a lot of things. And just turn off the lights. I tell you what, if we can see enough, I might unwrap the thing before I go while you guys are here. You can tell me I made a mistake or something. I'd love it if maybe we could do live streams maybe more often. I'll see if I can do some weird shit here. I don't think this is going to work. Not really. No. It works, kind of. But what we should do is organize. I'm going to be planning it in advance of videos. So I'm going to unwrap this. I'm going to put this fuse in here. But planning in advance of making videos, planning in advance of doing any kind of work, because I think there's a lot of stuff we can learn, but there's also a lot of scary things with doing this stuff. It's not as simple as do whatever and you're good. So I've unwrapped my fuse holder and putting the fuse in, but it's not as easy to make videos as people would like to hope and think. For me, making videos, it just takes up time that I could otherwise be using to make things and earn money, like work. And that's all I can do at the moment is work, because I don't really have the financial capacities to do anything else but work. So that fuse is in. I don't know how well this thing works. When it blows the fuse, apparently the light will light up to tell you the fuse is blown. So that's cool. This is going to go under the hood, and I think this will look after us pretty nicely. This is the fuse holder. I can't see it because it's really freaking dark out here. So anyway, guys, I'm going to end the video here. Going to do what I can do. I really want to make this thing cooler. Not cooler as in the word that means, oh yeah, you're a cool dude. I want to make this thing cooler so I can drive it around comfortably all day, all night sort of thing in the hot weather, in the hot summer. And that's what I've been working on, because I don't really want to drive with a hot car. So I've got a lot of other things I've got to work on. Trying to figure out ways to improve its cooling ability. At the same time, I'm trying to increase my ability to do other work, because January's coming. There is no work in January nearly. There is probably $500 full-time to $700 full-time in early January to late January. And then after January, that's when things start to pick up. You go from 700 to maybe 1200, and that's about where it will probably sit for a little while. Come June, July-ish, around that time, you can earn about 1400. After that, you probably earn a bit more. I'm not really sure. But the courier job costs me $40 a day now, just to do driving. And what I get paid at the end of the day is anything between $100 $220, and it's mostly less than 200. On average, it's about 160, 170 that I earn, but that's before expenses. After expenses, about $100 a day, and that's what the job's roughly worth or less because of all the other expenses. Let's make this thing cool. I tell you what, if you guys really want videos, let me know. I'm going to share my idea of what I'm going to do with the cooling system to cool the car down, and if it works or not, we'll see a instructional video on how to make it and how to build it and how to set it up to your body of your car, what to buy, what to make, and how to do it. We'll end up doing some overlocking, I think it is, or sewing. I'm not sure which one, but the idea is I'm going to have a bag sitting over my fans or a towel or something, and it just sits there, and when the blowers are on full bore, water gets pulled from the reservoir, goes in, and cools us down. I'm not sure I'll put a reservoir yet, probably up here over the passenger side since they don't really bounce around. So when you're sitting in the car properly, your head doesn't really have that much leeway, so you can't exactly put a tank there, and in front of you is when, you know, you're almost going to have an accident. You can't... I got to be smarter than that when I do things. I could put it in the middle here, it won't be... You know, there's all these things to think about. And that's why it's like, I'm not really sure on how I'm going to do this yet. I could put it on the tank and put a hole in the roof and then feed it in. But still, that's something I don't really want to do. I don't want to put a hole in the roof. I got to find another way around this to make it work. And I think we can do that. Not sure how we're going to do it, but we'll find a way. If there's already a hole in here, I've already found a hole. Except the problem is I might have to put my reservoir on the roof. I've got ideas. These cars have the reservoir, these cars have the antenna on this side where this blower is. There is holes already in the pillar here I could utilize to feed the line into the car, but then I would want to insulate it as good as I can to stop heat overcoming the liquids inside to the point where I want it to drip. And then up here I might want to put a pump on it to pump a bit of pressure through it if I need pressure. There's a lot of things to consider, but I'm going to leave it for today. I'd love to talk to you again sometime about some ideas we could do with this. Maybe project stuff, maybe not, because there's a lot of things to think about and a lot of things to do. I need some ideas, I need some good products that I can use. I need to make sure that it's within my budget, which it will never be for maybe half a year. Anyway, take care everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being patient with me. Yeah, car tutorials. How to cool down your car without an AC. Actually, I can't show you because it's dark now. Let's take the AC out, which is already out, and let's try to cool down the car without an AC. But like I was saying, I don't really want to drill holes through the cab. So what I'll do is I'll use what already exists and try to work around what I've got. Just like I've done here, I've not bolted that in because there's too much work in bolting that in. And what I'll do, I'll find the shortest routes to do things, because I got a neighbor, okay, he thinks he can work on this F100 he bought, and I'm just like, if I can't do the work, you definitely can't do the work, and I know I can't do the work, so you definitely can't. Because what I've learned is, you can't rely on others to do the work for you. If you want to work on a car, you want a car, make sure you have the skills before you do it, or you make sure you have the resources before you do it, because it will end up like the Fairlane that's in the back corner of our yard, which I started but couldn't finish because the work was on a level that I couldn't afford someone to do it, and it was on a level which I couldn't do the work myself. So even if I could do the work myself, I couldn't do it properly. I should make some videos on feature mods you want to do on your car. Yeah, I guess we could talk about the mods I want to do to the car sometime. But that's for another day. I've got to get back in the house and do my schoolwork and finish that off, because schoolwork comes first, because I've got to wait for grades and stuff and get told, hey, it's done or not. Got till next month at least to get that done. And once that's done, then I'm free to just work my ass off and earn some money to fix the car and make it better than it is. This thing, even though I will spend money on it, I'm keeping it because it is freaking awesome. Once you find a car that you enjoy for various reasons or have a purpose for it or something, yeah, it is a busy time of year. Every year is busy. But I swear, having to drive a car that keeps having little things going wrong and trying to prevent things from going majorly wrong. Yeah, I can see a cat on the roof. Meow. The neighbour's roof. Actually, they're not. If you can see it. I'm paying attention to everything, guys. And I don't know if you can see it. It's a cat right there on the roof. Yeah, that's the cat right there. Here we go. No, it's not my cat. He can see me, but he doesn't think I can see him. But he's on video. Run, cat! I'm trying to make it so you can see the cat. Actually, we're not. We can climb this ladder. Kind of. Cat can see us. Here's a cat. I don't think he cares that I can see him. Are you a black cat? If you're the black cat, then yeah, someone's gonna kick your ass for attacking their cat. Oh. You can see me. You can see me, can't you, cat? I don't know whose cat you are. Run, cat, run! There he goes. Big black cat. Run, cat! If he's a black cat, I don't know if he's pure black. Ah, he's peeking over the roof. He's been tricky cat. No, I don't hate cats, by the way, guys. I just, I wanted to see that he was actually there. Because it is quite dark. So, I got my schoolwork to do. I don't know if it's facing forwards. It's facing forwards still. I got my schoolwork to do. I've got my bedroom to clean up. And trust me, it's really a freaking nightmare to try and clean up my bedroom. Because of everything. But, like I said in the early part of the video, there's my car in its prime a year ago. It looked beautiful. It looked nice and neat. Actually, it might have... Yeah, it was a year ago before I went and started my courier work. So that's how long ago my car looked really, really good. And with those rims, it looks nice, but those rims are no good for my car. They damage the tires. They get them damaged and damage the steering. That's the best photo I'll ever get of that car. And I'm happy for it because it's at the racetracks. This is when I met the Mighty Car Mods at Malala. I had a reason to go to the track because I wanted to make my car nice and neat. I wanted to go there. And I wanted to see what it would feel like to go there. No, I wouldn't say I'm as much into that stuff as some people. But I like fixing things, so I guess, yeah, that's cool if you saw the video. I guess I like working on a project car, not on a work vehicle, because a work vehicle like this, it puts a lot of pressure on you to get the work actually done. It takes a lot of time too, and it takes a lot out of you when you're under pressure and you work on this car instead of working on your job. If you work on your car instead of doing your job, you're spending money at the same time you're not earning it back. Whereas if you were working on someone else's car and getting paid for it, you're making money, but you're also doing the work on their car, not on your own, but you're learning some things. So it improves your proficiency working on cars if you can do that. That's also a key word I like to use, proficiency. You're not necessarily better than someone else, you're just more proficient at doing the job. You could do it as good as them, but they can do it. You can't, it's not really nice to say better because everyone's like, I'm better than you or something. They try to be better, and better is not necessarily a key word. We all have our strengths, we all have our weaknesses. Someone might be good at doing everything, but it just takes them too much time to do something. So it'd be nice for them to have someone that can do the jobs that aren't so risky when they don't have experience, then do them and they have a lot of expense. It's a Ford F100 down the road. My neighbour bought it. And even his cousin, I'm on the same page with his cousin about it. It's very expensive to get parts for. He got an NC Fairlane, and the reason I told him to get that NC Fairlane is because the parts are more accessible for it and to repair it. And it's also more leniency for messing up. With an F100 like he just got, it's very expensive for parts to replace something, to repair it. There's a lot of rust in that body. It's just a money pit that he can't repair. I can't repair. Proficient and efficient. Proficient is doing something really well but quickly. Efficient is pretty much similar. I think efficient is just the quickest way to do something. Proficient is doing something properly but quickly. I think that's the best way to look at it. I don't know. They're pretty similar words. I just think proficient is a nicer word for me. Efficient sounds a little bit weaker than proficient. I think they mean the same thing though. I mean, we could Google it, but I got my schoolwork I'm going to have to download. Just to give you an idea of what my schoolwork looks like, I've got all this Canvas stuff for my work that I've got to do. And that's business course I've done. And it's a lot of work, even though it's little bits of work to have to do. Each document we did, we had a template to work from, and then we had to fill out the the outline, the dot points of that document, and then we have to keep iterating on it, and we have to keep redoing it and doing it, and it's so annoying to get to a point where there's this one little thing that you don't quite understand what's wrong with it, and they tell you over and over again after you submit it that it's wrong, and you sometimes need to get in contact with them. The worst part is, this is the last week to get in touch with the teacher and catch up, but I have to email him for his time if there's anything wrong. And I've been waiting for weeks for some of this documentation to be reviewed, for some of it months, and it's all, there's 5 assessments I've got to do right here, right now. This is only 3 assessments. There's 2 left that haven't been assessed recently. So it's a lot of work. And then you think about this work, 5 assessments out of 8 they have to do. Yeah, I'll say that, but I'll be honest, it's just one guy, and there's 30 kids in the class. Some of them are in teams of 5. Some of them are solos. I'm a solo now because my teammate he kept saying he did more than me. He understood this stuff better than I did, but he kept saying he was doing more work than I was, yet I've gotten most of the work done. He still has 0s on his assessments, whereas I've got 33 plus on all mine. All of them have a grade. His don't all have grades because he's soloed from me and we're not working together anymore. He was driving me nuts. The class, his co-workers in class could see this. He was, I don't know how to put it. He was trying to be the guy who's in charge when clearly he didn't know how to run the business, sort of thing. Whereas I was not sure how to do things and I was trying to learn, whereas he was actually trying to actually run it, but he was not trying to learn to run it. He was actually just trying to run it, and it wasn't working. He studied for a $50,000 course, or $40,000, sorry. This is a $10,000 course. It's a graduate diploma. And with this graduate diploma, he wants to go and work as a manager at Coles or Woolworths. And I find that a little bit laughable, because you've got these skills. You could be doing something really cool with them. I'm going to be doing that next year. I'm setting myself up to do the work now. I've got a laptop. I don't have a battery. I'm putting an inverter in the car so that I can power the laptop so that I can do work on the road when there is no work. Because there's so many dry times during the year, I don't make much money. So if I do my work in the car during those dry times, I can then make money off of the time that I'm not making money, save myself some fuel money, and if the car's cool enough, I can do it comfortably enough that I can do it successfully. The only problem with that is, it'd be better if it was a dual cab. I could sit in the middle seat of the back, and if I had enough space, I could move the seats forward maybe, or put the laptop on the glove box if I had a glove box, and sit in the back seat in the middle, keyboard and mouse right next to me, and just work like that and look straight ahead. In this scenario, I've literally got to look this way all the time while typing in my lap. And if I don't have a mouse and a mouse pad, I can't use that. So I have to use the thing. But I worked around the mouse problem. The best part about this is actually it's the best way to do it. Use a Wacom tablet. That's the best mouse you could have in a car, because you just touch anywhere on the screen and it just clicks. And there's not this, need for re-navigating, swiping like that. You just go straight to the point you want to go. Click, click, click. There's really cool things you can do. The problem is, I wanted to get a tablet. And the reason I want to get a tablet, because then I could mount it in front of me with my Bluetooth keyboard and just type while I'm on the road. The only awkward thing about that is, if I could have a quick removable steering wheel, I'd have that much extra space to move my legs, fit my hands, and feel a bit more comfortable. Because the way it is now, I literally have to put my hands underneath the steering wheel or pull everything as close as I can and then just type from my belly button, essentially. And if you type from like here, it's really awkward. Whereas it'd be nice if you could put your hands out and actually just type like out here. If you try it, you understand. I've already done a little bit of a simulation of how it would feel and how it would work in the car. I've actually got a picture somewhere of when I set it up to show what I'm going to do next year, instead of doing the incubator, which costs money to go there and back. And it costs hundreds of dollars to go backwards and forwards. And if you do lose Centrelink, you can't exactly keep going backwards and forwards on this job because it doesn't earn enough. And then the risks with the job, if the car breaks, then I'm stuffed. I can't earn nothing anymore. If I can go work in Woolworths or Coles, I just walk there and do what I got to do. Then I've got that much money I can keep instead of spending, unless it's on living expenses instead of cars. I thought about a lot of things. I would really, really love to do this work on the road to save me even the drive times from losing, because then I'm winning. But in another way, I'm doing the work that might pay off in the future. It might not pay off. And if it does pay off, it'll be better than earning money for just doing courier driving. This is how I'm going to start my career. But I've got to switch my mind when I'm driving. When I'm working on, when there's dry times, focus on the work that's on the laptop. Forget about going anywhere. When it's time to drive, forget about the laptop. Close the lid. Pull those memories out of your brain and stick them in the aisle of bullshit or something, and focus on the road. Because as my teacher said to me, it's quite true. It can be a real risk. It's distraction having that next to me to do work, because you have an idea in your mind. Oh, I have to do it, and so then you're thinking about it and you have to hold it in your mind, and then you lose focus on the road or something because your mind's working overtime doing two different jobs instead of just the one job. Our minds are pretty linear as far as I can tell. If we're focusing on multiple things, we lose our attention to one or both in one sense or the other. If you're enjoying one over the other, you're going to forget about the other and you're going to be wondering about this. I don't like driving all day. It's the same thing. There's all this temperature shit. There's all this traffic congestion. There's all these accidents and potential risks. It's just not the greatest experience in the world. With the laptop, I can work on my projects and my products that I'm working on. And then when they pay off, I can then use that and reinvest it into making more products and really cool things. I can then invest it into a business where I can hire people on with the skills to do this stuff. And then we can get more stuff out. From working as a courier, I know this is where my passion lies, because while I love working on cars, driving is very stressful. Because I had the accident, someone hit my car and I got in the shit for it, essentially, for them hitting my car in their premises because they don't know how to drive a fork. Yeah. And then when they damage something, who's going to pay for the damages? I've got to pay for the damages of my vehicle, and they damaged it. And a couple of years ago, someone literally broke the locks on my car and tried to steal it. They broke the ignition barrel. They broke the door lock. They pulled it literally out of the door, and I was like, what the hell? And all sorts of stuff. So I wasn't in a very comfortable experience then. And I've been trying really hard to save up. But the car is just one of those expenses that is very, very hard to overcome. Unless you do everything as properly as you can the first time around. You take the engine out, rebuild it 100%, and you won't have problems for many, many years to come. But you still have to do everything to do with the cooling system. Anything that's related to keeping that engine running needs to be fixed. So, coolant, oil, filters, any electrical stuff, it all needs to be checked before you say it's all good. You don't always have to check the electronics, because my dad had that scenario. His car ran like crap after, but he had electrical problems, and it still runs. It runs pretty good now that he's fixed the electronic problems that he's had with it. And with my car, the only problem I've had recently is the accelerator cable stuffed. And that caused my car. Here's why it's scary and stressful for me. I'm driving on a 90k road with cameras straight over my head trying to catch someone for speeding. And I take my foot off the accelerator, and all of a sudden the car just surges forward instead of slowing down. And I'm doing 90 at 1 minute, and the next minute after trying to decelerate, I'm doing 95. And it's really uncomfortable when something like it goes wrong. And that's why I've been trying to see about how much I could get out of the bank for a loan to fix those problems. I want to pay it back within 3 months, sort of thing, if I go full time. They won't give me a loan until the end of next year or this year, sort of thing, the new year. Until I've got 2 financial statements, they won't touch me with any potential loans. I've literally got to have 2 statements to say, yeah, I can get a loan. And it would help, because then I can prevent those issues from costing me more in fines and then repairs. If instead of getting the fine, I pay for the repair, and that stops me from getting the fine, that would be better than getting the fine and having to do the repair. I try to drive the best I can. I've gotten 1 fine thus far for parking the wrong way in our street. It was just a bad day. It was a bad choice. I've had to do that again without even realising I forgot that I did it. But when I went to leave, I realised I was on the wrong side of the road. I just did what the other driver did. Go around the roundabout the other way and stop there, because we had to stop on that point and we had to unload. So, anyway, I should let you guys go. I should let myself go. Get some work done. I guess we can plan some future videos about future mods to the car. Things we want to do. Actually, shoot, I forgot. One last thing we could do before we go. If the list is here, might actually be worth covering a list of problems with the car that I've got written out. Forget about power. So, before we leave off in this video, I guess, let's go through a list of the problems I've got. And it's all this stuff here, and it's double-sided. So, I should take this out of this thing so that I can do this. This will be a bit easier since it's double-sided. So, what are things I need to do to the car? Well, with the engine, I need to check the compressions of 1 and 4, because I'm expecting them to be lower than 2 and 3. The engine surge on deceleration, so we're going to check out the injector pump and the injectors, but we found out that it's the sticky cable that's causing these problems, because when the cable sticks during boost, it's just going to boost the way it's going to surge, and that's uncontrollable when the cable's sticking. The accelerator cable sticking when cold, idle hang issue. So when you're cold and you put your foot down and then take your foot off, it just hangs. Like you go up in the revs and it stops, and it comes down after about 5 seconds. And it comes down nice and slowly. Then, what's this new? Okay, new head gasket needs retorquing when coolant's pumping out the system. Whenever the coolant gets pumped out of the overflow tank, I have to retorque the head bolts every single time. So I unscrew one and then I retighten that bolt, go to the next one, loosen, tighten, and I have to do that 18 times. And then I check them that they're all down equally. It's the same sort of torque. Then the steering. The inner tie rods have play. The power steering pump is leaking oil. Steering sometimes is really heavy. It's not light, it's like really heavy. You got to use 2 hands to get it through the bends and turns. My dad's is super light. You just use any one of your fingers, your pinky, and you can steer the wheel. And it's so light. And then you don't feel any control. My mum's car's nice, but it's trying to drive one way, which is bad. Then we have brakes. Hard braking car goes right when but manageable. So it's hard to brake, but the car goes right when I'm braking. So that's that way. So every time I hit the brake pedal, it's actually going that way and trying to steer into the left, to the right lane. So that's the problem with the steering, with the brakes. The rear drum brakes require replacement. You put on the handbrake, it doesn't hold the car. And that's because the rear drum brakes are at the limit. Maybe even over now because they've been worn out a bit further than the limit. And they need replacing. The brake pads will need replacing. The handbrake cables should be replaced. I put the MH dual cab ones into a single cab Triton because my cables were buggered. You could see the cable through the cable, as in the steel cable was shining through, and then the cable was getting damaged and bound up inside the cable. So when I was pulling on the handbrake, it was really hard, but it wasn't holding anything. Now it's super light, and it still doesn't hold anything, but it's also out of adjustment, so the cables still need replacing because it's at the maximum adjustment. There's nothing else I can do. But I can replace the brakes first, see whether it fixes the problem, pulling the handbrake, and if it's hard early, then that's good. Suspension. All front requires attention. Ball joints, the lower ball joints, you can literally see them through the rubber. The rubbers are perished, so there's like holes in them every now and then, and you can see the rust on the ball joint. Most parts need replacement. Yes, the shockers are a bit out. Then there is the kingpins. That's what my dad keeps calling them. They're not kingpins. There's pins at the top of the suspension when it's tilting like this. All the ball joints need replacing. There's some seals. The lower, what are they called? Lower kingpins or something need replacing. The limiter rubbers need replacing. I don't know what they're called. I can't remember. The rear leaf springs are a bit sagged, so they don't really hold all the weight on the ute, and they're a little bit down. They, like, you put a ton on the back and they just straight out go flat. They don't hold up. But I'm planning to upgrade them to something that can take more than 1 ton. So they could take more than 1 ton, but they're safer when I'm carrying 1 ton, if I have 1 ton. Or if someone overloads me, I can carry it safely. The diffs. The rear drain has... Sorry, it's really badly worded. It says, rear drain has rounded head, need replaced. So that's the bolt for draining the diff. Its head's rounded. You can't put a socket or nothing on it. You literally have to weld a new nut on. You have to weld a nut on there, crack the bolt, get it out, put a new bolt in, essentially, to fix that. That's from the previous owners. I couldn't replace the wheel, but the wheel was still clean. So my dad says 80,000. I got told about 20,000, but I'm gonna go with the 80 because I got told you can do 80 and it'll be fine. The oil should last the life of the diff, sort of thing. Front is unknown because I've never checked the front diff out because I don't use it really, so there's no real point. The CV on the passenger side is worn. No one told me this because I knew it was already worn, and they were idiots, so I could pick on them for that. They didn't check it. There's like play in it, and it's in and out play and an up and down play. The other one's tight, so I know it should feel like. The front tail shafts need to be repaired or replaced because the uni joint on it is really badly worn out. There's like 5 mil of play in the thing for how bad it's worn out. Okay, and then there's the other section. Fuse blows, killing tachometer and indicators intermittent. So every now and then when I'm driving, I go to put on the indicators and they're not working. Every now and then when I hit a bump, the fuse blows and then my tacho dies, and then everything that's essential for driving is gone. Except for the hazard lights, they still work. So I have to use the hazard lights just to drive around a corner or something to let them know I'm doing something, but you don't know what I'm doing. And then I've actually replaced it. I have so many fuses in the car ready to go. I replaced fuses on the go. So while I'm at the lights, pull this one out, put the new one in. It's all I can do until I can afford to get the wiring repaired. And the tachometer, this is the one for the speedo. The speedo is out by 10 to 11% behind. So when I'm doing 55, it's actually 50. When I'm doing 101, it's actually 90, which is why it's 10 to 11%. Because I'm not sure exactly what the percentage is, but it's somewhere in between that I can say that safely. It should only really be out 1%. So when you're doing 49, when you're doing 50, it's 49. You can't get done for speeding easily. So if you do 51 by accident, you're actually doing 50. So if you're literally intentionally going faster than 50, then you'll get in trouble. Whereas if you're doing 50, you can't get in trouble. So that's the list of problems I've got. And then I have to fix those things, and then the car is pretty much brand new, nearly. Not nearly. It's still got paint jobs to do, but the paint jobs aren't essential. This is essentials. This isn't things that I want to do. This is things I have to do to make sure the thing's good. Anyway, guys, it's time for me to go. It's time for me to let you go. It's freaking hot in this room, and I'm sweating. We've got solar panels now. I'll turn them on. Use power. Maybe I should make my own fan up. Get a misting fan for just this room so I don't have to use that anymore. Because the misting fan is actually really cool. And it's only about 200, 300 watts of power it uses. So it beats this thing, which uses 2 kilowatts. See you later, and thank you very much, BA. And everyone else. Bye.